Well, hello, folks. It is another Wednesday, and we are back to rank yet another puzzle game for the Game Boy. We've got a great list here, I'm going to say it's a great list, or at least a pretty good list. We've got a list. And, at this point, there are 62 games on that list, so you're starting to see the space between the top tier stuff and the bottom tier. And this week, we have a game that I don't remember anything about. I know I played it to test the ROM and make sure that it fit the criteria that I use for is it a puzzle game or not? But I don't remember it at all. That was kind of a while ago now, when I did all that testing and putting that list together. This game is called Lazlos Leap. And when I realized that I didn't remember anything about it, I made a point of... I sort of checked, I used the title screen music to set the levels, and then I just avoided looking at it. I don't know what this is. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to jump in on this, and we're going to find out together. At least until I remember, which may or may not happen. Okay, so that's clearly that was clearly my test character. We'll go with an actual name this time. Okay. Oh, that's... Okay. What? Okay, I'm a little confused. Like, I get this part. Okay, I guess I needed the last peg to land on the star. Okay. So this is not all that far off from the game we played last week. Don't you wag your finger at me. What did I tell you about wagging your finger at me? I don't know what step and par mean, because it doesn't seem to, Okay, so again, land on this in the middle. Okay, relatively quick to restart though. Okay. Okay, so it's only a step if I change pegs? Par 5, so I think that means there's going to be more steps, more changing pegs this time around. We go there and then there. Oh, worry about that one. Okay, we'll just do this. I'm gonna start by doing the thing that looks kind of obvious, and yeah, so no, that was obviously not it. There. And then bring that up. No, because that gets in the way. Uh-oh. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. Feels like this picked up a bit quickly. But I suspect what's going on is that the game needs me to understand some other aspect of the rules. So I think this one jumping down here needs to go last, which means this needs to get out of the way. And that puts us in that situation. I don't think there's any way to get a peg into that square, so I feel like that still needs to stay where it is. If we drop the peg down there, then getting it to go back up is going to be a problem. Again, unless there's like an obvious mechanic that I don't yet realize I need to engage with. If we move this down here, and that just causes all kinds of problems right out the door. Kind of put this here, I guess. Bring this down. Yeah, and then... move this down, and then put this over here. Yes, somehow I didn't think that was going to be it, but at this point I'm just kind of trying stuff to see what happens. Like if we do this... down, and that one up. Yeah, so that ends up putting us in the same position. This going this way, or this way, so yeah, so... Right now, it just kind of feels like these two moves have to come first. Then... we can't... we need this one to... if we move this up... Okay, diagonal is not an option. Okay, so this needs to either go here or here. Those are the only options. If it goes here, then we need to clear this out first. And if it goes here, then we need this to jump. But then we just end up back in that pattern. That's the other thing, even if we... I mean, let's just assume that's the first move. I move that this way. But I can't do this out of sequence. Because then this won't be able to jump here. I could jump this here, and then this up here, but then that can't go down. This needs this peg to still be here in order to go down. Like so. Now this can go either up or down, but it can't get both. If we go this way, however, we can jump this up here. And yeah, just kind of end up in that situation. Put that... I may have to look this up just to keep the game going. Honestly, that's a bit embarrassing for how early into the game this is. This is puzzle number 4. This is puzzle number 4! And obviously, I keep thinking like it has to be that. Except it can't has to be that because it's not working. And if it's not working, it's obviously not the solution. Give me 1 second here. Well, here we are, all solutions. And now we gotta wait through like 20 minutes of ads. More ads. Still ad. Okay, nope. Alright. Now it's just fish, skating, fly. Okay. What? Slow down. Okay, I was completely wrong. Okay. Okay, stop. Okay, that would have taken me a while to figure out on my own. I Yep, that's the game we're playing. Okay, whatever. I don't know, man. After that last puzzle, feels like absolutely anything is on the table. Can't put that way because it gets stuck. Put this here. I would have, yeah, can't put anything up here. I feel like part of the major trouble here is just that, I don't know, this is just a type of puzzle that I've never been... do this, and then this, and then this? Little buddy on the end. I can't get out. Maybe I should have kept that long play open. You know, then you start to have an idea, and then you remember why that idea didn't work the last time you tried it. And it kind of ends up being a lot to keep track of in a weird way. think I closed the window on that walkthrough a little too early. More ads. More ads. Okay. Okay, I seriously just looked at it and I'm like, oh my god, what did I watch? No, it was... That was a step. I just watched the solution. Why can't... I'm gonna have to sit through the ads again. Oh my god, I can't believe this. Well... God, it goes through them so fast. Okay. Let's see if I can actually remember it this time. So it was... that... and then that... that... and that... Now, how do you begin to approach this without immediately second-guessing every move you're about to make? At least I managed one of them on my own. Yeah, it's exciting. It really could be anything. I think that's what those two puzzles I couldn't get were trying to teach me. Is to sort of try and pull things towards the center square. To claim that I now understand it would be a bit of an overstatement, though. Not like that. So I guess it is possible to solve puzzles without hitting par. It's fine by me. Wait, seriously? Oh boy. I put that there, and I just want to be absolutely certain. Okay, so there is a way for it to get back. Figuring out what actually constitutes a bad move in this game. Yeah, I already did that. On some level, I do feel like I'm making this game look more boring than it is. I'm just gonna look, 'cause I just have to know now. Ghost. More ads. Arc. Fork. Skip. Dragon. Stamp. Okay. Slow down, slow down, slow down. So yeah, so I guess it does that thing again, so like this. Like this. And did I do it wrong? this is going to be a tough one to put on the list. But I'm going to have to start by giving my final thoughts on it anyway. Maybe we'll figure something in the meantime, but it's hard to call it a bad game because it does pretty much what it sets out to do very successfully. A lot like the tile puzzles, it's a style of game that I don't care for. But I mean, it does that particular style well enough. I think overall, my initial thoughts were that this was, a case of maybe you need a little more tutorializing in order to get what it's doing. But I think there is just something about the way the puzzles operate that is just kind of awkward to visualize. You need to make some... You end up needing to make some pretty counterintuitive moves in order to kind of move forward. And yeah, and I think that stuff could be... If there was a way to present it... I don't know that there is necessarily a way that you could present this to make it make more sense. Like, it is just a type of puzzle that, I don't know. And if that sort of peg jumping kind of game, like if that appeals, then I could see this being at least enjoyable. But it kind of hits a similar problem to Tesserae in that respect. Was there a game that got... I'm just looking over my list a little bit here. I don't know what I'm expecting to find, but I'm looking over my list. Back down here to Tesserae. And I think this game arguably has the benefit of bespoke puzzles. In a sense, that's always sort of a thing, right? Bespoke puzzles have one solution, whereas something like Tesserae, where it sort of scrambles the board each time you play, there isn't necessarily a single solution that works. I think that could be a little annoying, but it also gives it a little more replayability. And I think this game ends up not having kind of as much going for it because of that. Yeah, so Lazlos Leap. decent first impression. I don't love it. And again, like I'm really trying to sort of put myself in the mind of somebody who, I mean, obviously, if it's someone who would enjoy the game, then, I mean, kind of answers itself, but like someone who would have less difficulty with this specific style of puzzle, would they enjoy this particular game? And the answer is probably. Yeah, I'm just trying to account for my own bias here, because I would not want to play this again. But I don't think it's that badly made. Like, it doesn't fall below Cool Ball. So we're in this range here. I think it's better than Nail and Scale. Better than Primitive Princess. I could see this being, in a sense, less frustrating than Ishido. Just because, you know, it's a little more predictable. It's not as good as Tesserae. I don't think it's as good as Clax. Wordtris is a weird one. I'd have to think about that, but really got to get past Ishido before we think about Wordtris. And I think the advantage that this game has is that this particular version of Ishido it has its own complications. Is Lazlos Leap better than Wordtris? I think so. I kind of don't want it to be true, but I think it is. I think it goes here. Number 46. Lazlos, apostrophe on the other side of the S. Leap. So the person's name is Lazlos, and this is their leap. And that is going to be me for this evening. I'll be back tomorrow night with live improvised music. I will be back on Saturday night with music production. In the meantime, I'm not feeling any of the available raids, so let's just call it here. Thanks for coming by, thanks for hanging out, and thanks for watching. And as always, I do hope to see you next time. So bye for now.